Hello my fragrance friends, it's Kat and I'm back today wearing a bit of pink because I'm going to be talking about these sort of blush pink fragrances. Now my newest one is Noble Blush by Lattafa, and this one, I think it's taken me a little while to figure out how I feel about it. I think it has changed a little bit over a few weeks. So I want to tell you what I think about it, what I think it's sort of similar to, and then maybe rank it with some of the other sort of blushy, pink, fluffy sort of fragrances that I have. So for the top notes, we have a really interesting one. This is Rose Milk, which I've never actually personally tried. It looks delicious though. Anything milky and pink, I'll take it. Then the middle notes, we've got meringue and almond, and in the base notes, there's vanilla, sandalwood, and musk. Now, again, I think I've had a bit of an experience with this. I feel like it smells a little bit different, but I think it's settled at the moment. When I first spray this, I actually personally get a lot of almond. Then it settles down on me like a fluffier version of Delina. I get a bit of the rose and what smells to me like a little bit of citrus that you get from Delina. So I'm not sure where that citrus comes from, but it's almost like a meringue, slightly vanilla-y, slightly milky version of that rose scent, which I really like. I have tried Delina many times. I've got a couple of dupes for it. If you prefer that sort of more fluffier vanilla lactonic smell, this will give you that, but it definitely has a little bit of that rosiness that I can smell in Delina. I've got my dupe on this wrist and I've got Noble Blush on this wrist. It's got this powdery vanilla sort of cloudiness to it, whereas Delina I think is a little bit sharper and fruitier. I would say that this is a fairly safe blind buy if you look at it and go, okay, rose, I can deal with rose. I quite like sweet scents. I quite like powdery scents. I like a little bit of muskiness. Almond doesn't throw me too much. This is actually a very pleasant scent. I am not a fan of almond, but there's a time where it's like drying down that I get a bit of an almond jolt, but it sort of just adds to that sort of fluffy creaminess, which I really like. Yeah, I could smell that almond straight away, but then it sort of very quickly dissipates and becomes a bit of a cloud of, this is very much like a pink cloud that you're giving off. This doesn't feel juvenile, but it is sweet and sort of musky and fluffy and vanilla-y. So if that's not your jam, you won't like this. But if you do like that and you like something that's a cross between a vanilla lactonic and Delina, I think this one is a pretty good one. It does last fairly well on me, like a good 6 to 8 hours. I don't know how far it projects, but this is really nice. I do think this would be better in the cooler months because it's got that beautiful sort of comforting vibe to it, but I can very comfortably wear this in the summer, which is where I'm at now, and it doesn't feel cloying or nauseating or sort of out of place. So I like this one. I'm not obsessed with it. I don't go back and go, I can't wait to wear this tomorrow. But whenever I wear it, I'm like, oh, it's got a place in my collection. It's very nice. I actually think Noble Blush, and this is probably very incorrect, but I sort of feel like Noble Blush came out to replace Yara. Yara was very, very popular. I bought this super cheap. I think it was like under 30 Australian dollars. Yara was probably really good before there were much better ones out there. But to me, Yara, and I know to a lot of people, it just didn't deliver what people expected. It's like expectations here and it's sort of down there. It's not a bad fragrance, but it's just sort of nothing to talk about, if that makes sense. It does have orchid, heliotrope, tangerine in the top notes. It has gourmand, accord, whatever that means, and tropical fruits in the mid notes, and then vanilla, musk, and sandalwood in the base notes. This is pleasant. This is what I'd be like, yeah, if you're getting into fragrances and you're a young teenager, this is one you're like, yeah, go for it. You won't really offend people. You're not really making a statement. I can see this being someone's sort of like bedtime fragrance where they're like, I want something on that makes me feel a little bit cozy, but it's not really, it doesn't have much to say. It is a bit sweet, a bit powdery, a bit fruity, but there is nothing really distinct that comes out as being like, this is a really fluffy vanilla. This is a lactonic. This is a, strawberry. This is a rose. There's nothing in it. It's just sort of very over blended and generic. And that's why I think I would use this like to fragrance my sheets, for example. It's inoffensive, but it's not impressive. So I feel like Lattafa probably brought this out to I don't think fit people's expectations of what they wanted from Yara, and it was just not really delivering. Just a quick update. I never spray my sheets with fragrance, but I tried it with Yara. I like it. That's possibly how I'm going to be using Yara up. If you're familiar with Kayali Yum Bougie Marshmallow, I would say these have a similar vibe. So if you like this, chances are you're going to like this. So this has more of a strawberry, slight citrus note to it. So it gives you that fluffy, vanilla, fruity, predominantly strawberry. This gives you that same vibe, but instead of strawberry, it's more rose. And it's not like a overwhelming sort of strong rose. It's more of a fresh rose, like freshly picked rose petals. So if you're not a fruity person, but you want that fluffy pink cloud, this is probably the one to go for. But if you like fruitiness instead, this is quite similar. This doesn't have the almond note, but it does have coconut, which I think works in the same way. It gives that sort of rounded, fluffy vibe. It adds that sort of creaminess, but it's just done in a slightly different way. If you like the idea of a fluffy strawberry vanilla, but you don't like the sort of lactonic fluffy vibes that this one gives, I know lactonic fragrances are a bit hit or miss with some people. Burberry Her Elixir is probably one you'd want to go that direction into. This has strawberries. It also has blackberry. Then in the mid notes, it's jasmine, which I think is quite sharp. And then vanilla amber and sandalwood in the base notes. I do get a lot of amber from this. I feel like it's actually quite a sharp, it's less what I'd consider sort of fluffy and comforting. This is a much bolder fragrance. In moderation, it's really lovely. And I even like to sort of layer it with some of these. But on its own, especially around the neck, to me, it's very, very sharp and sometimes a little bit headache inducing. But I know some people don't get that sharpness and they just really love it as a sweet strawberry. So this is one that leans more heavily into the strawberry territory. Overall, if I was to rank these, personally, I would say that Noble Blush and Yum Bougie Marshmallow are probably on par. They offer the same thing to me, just for slightly different reasons. Do I want to go slightly more floral? Do I want to go slightly more fruity? That's the main distinction between them. I do think this one lasts longer though. Then I'd probably go Yara because this is very inoffensive. Like, it's hard to love, love, love and be obsessed with because it doesn't have much personality, but it's also hard to hate. And then I'd say Burberry Her Elixir is last because sometimes it's lovely on me, other times it is quite strong and there's a chemical smell that can be a bit nauseating. So that one to me is an occasional fragrance and I have to be very sparing with it. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite fluffy pink smell is and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.